fill this space with love. Take a moment now to say out loud or silently in your heart anything which is preventing you from being present here today.
Take a breath with me and arrive in this space. Feel your feet on the floor or your body on your seat. Take a breath and be supported by the earth spinning rapidly through the heavens. Take a breath and acknowledge this life-giving air creates an indelible interdependence upon the living and non-beings that fuel our existence. As we proceed and process and congratulate, let us remember the words of Octavia Butler, printed in your program. You'll all be invited to say the words indicated by all. All that you touch,
you change.
All that you change,
Changes you.
The only lasting truth
Is change.
God
Is change.
On behalf of United, I extend the warmest welcome. This day is made possible because of an expanding vision of what theological education is for the last 63 years. This vision has nurtured a place like United, where all are welcome and where an ecumenical and interfaith vision flourishes. Sacred conversations with board, faculty, staff, donors, and alums continues to inspire the story of United. It's a narrative shaped by a desire to form creative and grounded leaders. That's what we celebrate on this 63rd Commencement. It's a joy to gather at Plymouth, whose hospitality we have enjoyed for many years as we have celebrated commencements here. I'd like to recognize the lead minister here, Dr. Dwayne Davis. Would you stand? Let us wave at you, Dwayne. Not only is he on the board, but he is an adjunctive professor with us. I did not let him give a speech this year because he is running for office, and I knew better. I want to recognize family, spouses, partners, friends, parents, children, even grandchildren. You honor the graduates by your attendance, and you should be here, for each of you in some way has assisted these to complete their course of study. We celebrate with you their accomplishment, their transformation of life and thought, and their long obedience in the same direction, as Nietzsche would say. They have been sustained by hope and imagination and by the support of their families. And so if you are a family member in whatever way you count that, would you rise or would you wave so that we might honor you, family members? Wonderful. Great. At this momentous occasion, I want to make note of our faculty whose graceful imprint is on the lives of these students. I can imagine for years to come, you will remember a quote in class, a shared meal, a long Zoom, a remark on a paper, and you will remember words of affirmation, most of all. To remember the words of a teacher is a holy thing, said the rabbis. Faculty members are the very soul of the seminary, and they are devoted to relevant, groundbreaking learning, and your faculty gives their very best gifts to that end. So I would like for us all to express our gratitude as I invite the faculty to rise, please. Thank you all. When someone asks me about our faculty at United, I say, don't get me started. I have so many good things to say of them all. A commencement service, more than any other event in the life of a theological school, makes visible the good work, indeed the mission of the school. And that's what we are celebrating this day. But let me recognize just a few other folks. United staff. If the faculty is the soul, they must be the hands or the spine or something. So staff members, would you stand, please? Yes. Great. And back here. And I want to recognize members of the board. Would you please stand also? These are those who hold the seminary in trust, and we are in their good stewardship as they oversee our shared work. And we have a number of alums here. If you are an alum, would you wave this direction? Oh my goodness, good to see you all. There's a whole back row of them that I'm not sure will behave. They should have been seated closer to the front. So good, alums, to have you here. I like to say, quoting the Apostle Paul, you are our letters of recommendation in the world. You show who United is. And we have many members of churches and other faith communities where our graduates have served or will serve, colleagues in nonprofits, hospital, community development, other workers for justice who welcome our graduates. We are glad that you have joined us this day. We are particularly thankful to have the presence of our distinguished commencement speaker, Dr. John J. Thatamanil. Dr. Demian Wheeler, who studied with Dr. Thatamanil, will introduce him more fully in just a few minutes. And we are so grateful, John, that you are here. Our students love to read your work, and we are celebrating your presence in our midst. And so, with joy and gratitude, we celebrate this good occasion and acknowledge all that has guided us to this very hour.
Graduates, on this beautiful day, I bring you a warm welcome and greetings from the Board of Trustees of United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities, and also to your friends and your family and your loved ones, your professors and mentors on this auspicious day. We, the entire United community, are united in celebrating you and with you. Today is a day of honor. We honor you for your achievements. We reflect on the work, effort, and diligence you have brought to your academic career at United, and we salute you. Today is a day of completion. You have now reached the culmination of your matriculation at United. In a short while, the board will announce its authorization for the awarding of your degrees. Today, you have finished the race. You have kept the faith. Now you will receive the laurels to which you are justly entitled. Today is a day of anticipation. With your degree in hand, you're about to embark on or continue your vocations in ministry. United sends you forth bearing the banner of the Lord, God, the Holy One, by whatever name known, to give insight, comfort, and pastoral care to a community, a country, and a wider world that cries for justice and mercy. United has equipped you for this mission, and by conferring your degrees, we affirm that you are ready. Today is a day of joy, the happiest day in the academic year, a festival day for all of us to join hands in celebration, and that we will do. But most of all, graduates, today is your day. Our world clamors for your leadership, that's built on the foundations you have established here at United. As you go forward, may you always feel the comforting warmth of the Almighty and the assuring guidance of his, her, or their hand on your shoulder. Graduates, thank you and congratulations.
Good afternoon. I bring to you all the words from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 10 through 17. Jesus has just given the parable of the sower to the people, and the disciples ask him, Jesus, Why must you speak in parables?" Then the disciples came to him. "Why do you speak to them in parables?" He answered, "To you it has been given to know the secrets of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For to those who have, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. The reason I speak to them in parables is that seeing they do not perceive, and hearing they do not listen, nor do they understand. With them indeed is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah that says, 'You will indeed listen, but never understand. And you will indeed look, but never perceive. For this people's heart has grown dull, and their ears are hard of hearing, and they have shut their eyes. So they may not look with their eyes, and listen with their ears, and understand with their heart, and turn, and I would heal them.' But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. Truly I tell you, many prophets and righteous people long to see what you see, to hear what you hear, but did not hear it. May we be blessed with understanding."
Near the end of his life, the great 20th century theologian Paul Tillich became more and more convinced that the encounter with the religions of the world was a total game changer for theology, often remarking that he should start his theological work all over again. In 1962, Tillich moved from Harvard to the University of Chicago, where he taught seminars on systematic theology and the history of religions with Mircea Eliade. These seminars had a profound, even transformative impact on Tillich. In the final public lecture he ever gave, he proclaimed the following: "In these seminars, I experienced that every doctrinal statement or ritual expression of Christianity receives a new intensity of meaning. And in terms of a kind of apologia, yet also a self-accusation, I must say my own systematic theology was written before these seminars. Its purpose was the discussion or the answering of questions coming from the scientific and philosophical criticism of Christianity. But perhaps we need a longer, more intensive period of interpenetration of systematic theological study and religious historical studies. This is my hope for the future of theology." Our commencement speaker this afternoon, the Reverend Dr. John Thatamanil, is the fulfillment of that hope. In addition to being one of the world's leading experts on the thought of Paul Tillich, Dr. Thatamanil is a comparative theologian, and indeed one of the most creative, evocative, and theologically adventurous comparative theologians alive today. He is committed to not only learning about his religious neighbors, but also learning with and from them. For him, religious diversity is a promise, not a problem. And the patient and intricate work of comparative study and interreligious conversation enriches our knowledge of one another and even deepens our knowledge of the divine life. This is why Dr. Thatamanil describes comparative theology as a dangerous discipline. It resists the temptation of religious insularity and insists on theological vulnerability. In other words, opening your heart, soul, and mind to the truth and wisdom of other traditions may very well change your theology. Dr. Thatamanil is professor of theology and world religions and director of the Insight Project at Union Theological Seminary in New York City, my alma mater. He is the author of 2 books, The Immanent Divine, God, Creation, and the Human Predicament, and Circling the Elephant, a comparative theology of religious diversity. The latter is arguably the most important book on interreligious engagement written in the last 40 years, which is why I teach it as the capstone text in my constructive theology course. His latest research project promises to be just as groundbreaking, looking to comparative theology as a resource for interrogating our troubling post-truth moment. On a more personal note, John is a treasured friend, mentor, and theological dialogue partner. He is also, and I really mean this, he is also one of the best teachers I have ever had. John, I love you deeply. And in a very real sense, you've become a beloved part of our community. We are immensely grateful to have you with us today. Friends, the moment has arrived. Please join me in welcoming the Reverend Dr. John Thatamanil.
You know, it's challenging to start a commencement speech in tears. But once Demian introduces you, it's unavoidable. So I love you too. Dear President Marshall, trustees, seminary community, and especially the 2025 graduates, it is a profound honor and blessing to be with you today. My several days here, hosted by your beloved Pat Brown, and in the company of several of your faculty, has been a source of great joy. It has also been a delight to meet many of you, the graduates, and have real conversation. Karaoke with Mason and Meg was also a blast. So my sincere thanks for President Marshall for this invitation. Now, commencements are occasions of joy, heralding accomplishment and a turn to new beginnings. And your accomplishments are immense. Your faculty and I know how hard you worked. And we know this because we too are routine writers. We share with you the anxiety of staring at that most daunting sight of all for academics, the blank screen. We too participate with you in that confounding process through which words begin to appear. A student in her recent paper pointed me to the words of the poet Christian Wyman, who speaks of the mysterious and confused agency by which you, the author and the divine, join in the theopoetic process of birthing words, of laboring to give voice to something true. This is holy work, and we celebrate you for it. You deserve to be you deserve to celebrate and be celebrated, and you have earned the joy you are feeling. Not the joy ever needs to be earned. But I suspect, coming to know this community as I have, that your joy has been muted by the naked violence of the times we are living through. How dare we feel joy when so many suffer? We are in Eastertide, but read the newspapers, and it would seem Pilate stands victorious. So, how is joy justifiable? So, a quick word before I turn to the matter that I mean to speak of today. Joy is a surge of the heart, a gift, a grace, a byproduct of worthy labor, a fruit of love and communion. When joy arises, it must never be refused. Joy is also a fortification for future labor, including the labor of resistance. Joy is generative, and it is the heart's refusal to be colonized and overwhelmed by grimness and despair. So here, now, in this time and space, grant yourself the permission to feel the joy that is in your hearts. It is fitting and right and true and a healing balm. Can I have an amen? Amen. All right. Good, good. You are not the frozen chosen. Now to my speech for today. You can start the timer now. In my brief remarks to you, it is the heart about which I mean to speak. The heart and its connection to one of the critical crises of our time, the post-truth crisis. But give me a moment to arrive at matters of the heart. First, I want to begin with a somewhat longer, unexpected quotation from a prominent person. Perhaps you will know who this is. If we do not have the capacity to distinguish what's true from what's false, then by definition, the marketplace of ideas doesn't work. And by definition, democracy doesn't work. We are entering into an epistemological crisis. I can have an argument with you about what to do about climate change. I can even accept somebody making an argument that based on what I know about human nature, it's too late to do anything serious about this. I disagree with that, but I accept that it's a coherent argument. I don't know what to say if you simply say this is a hoax that the liberals have cooked up, and the scientists are cooking the books, and that footage of glaciers dropping off the shelves of Antarctica and Greenland are all phony. Where do I start trying to figure out where to do something? Anyone know who that is? That declaration of powerlessness comes from none other than President Obama. Participatory democracy, not just pulling the levers at election time, but collective deliberation requires that we can sustain conversation. We might differ on what action to pursue, but before we can work out that disagreement, we have to agree about just what the facts are. But as President Obama noted in the same interview, now you have a situation in which large swaths of the country genuinely believe that the Democratic Party is a front for a pedophile ring. Close quote. By the way, I just resisted mightily trying to do an Obama impression. So, he makes it clear, we are in the throes of a post-truth crisis. Now, the term post-truth is not equivalent to lies and falsehood. The liar knows the truth and purposely distorts it. The post-truth situation is far worse. In the post-truth moment, we have come to believe that we can no longer reliably distinguish between truth and falsehood. And furthermore, that it doesn't matter. Post-truth is marked by an indifference toward truth and even a willingness to build alternative reality to suit our will, to manufacture reality rather than defer to it. So, what are we to do? The overwhelming consensus in the post-truth literature insists on a single solution to the post-truth predicament. We must inform our way out of it. The literature insists that the cure for this crisis rests in reason and reason alone. We must teach people how to distinguish between truth and falsehood. We must teach people to distinguish between fact and fiction by teaching them science literacy. Teach the scientific process, not just scientific facts. Teach numeracy, how to understand data and charts so that folks aren't fooled by fake statistics. Teach social media literacy so that we can discern reliable sources from unreliable ones. President Obama and others also commend legislation that holds social media companies accountable and prevents them from spreading falsehood. Now, I have no objection to these important and well-intentioned efforts. However, I doubt they will succeed. We must take our cue from another source entirely, our religious traditions. This afternoon, I propose we take an attentive look at our reading from the Gospel of Matthew, read so wonderfully. Thank you. Recall Jesus' words in the Gospel of Matthew when he is asked by his disciples why he speaks to people in parables. Jesus then quotes the prophet Isaiah and declares, "The reason I speak to them in parables is that seeing they do not perceive, and hearing they do not listen, nor do they understand. With them indeed is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah that says, 'You will indeed listen, but never understand. You will indeed look, but never perceive. For this people's heart has grown dull, and their ears are hard of hearing, and they have shut their eyes, so that they might not look with their eyes and hear with their ears and understand with their heart and turn, and I would heal them.'" What's going on here? Why does Jesus insist that his contemporaries are engaged in seeing, but they do not perceive? Jesus seems to be asserting that the capacity to tell truth from falsehood was already common in his time. Folks can't see what's right in front of them, Jesus complains. Perhaps the post-truth predicament is not entirely new after all. And recall that Jesus is quoting the prophet Isaiah. Now, if we take our bearings from Jesus and Isaiah, we must conclude that we are now facing a perennial problem, albeit in a novel configuration. And matters turn curiouser and curiouser. Note the phrases that Jesus deploys here. This people's heart has grown dull. Also the phrase, "and understand with their heart." The Greek for understand with their heart is te cardia synosin. Do you hear the word cardia? as in cardiologist. And the word synosin means not merely knowledge, but insight, deep understanding, indeed wisdom. Jesus traces the incapacity to tell the true from the false, not to the mind, but to the heart. But how can that be? Surely any problem of understanding must rest in cognition, not in feeling. We moderns take for granted that the heart is the organ of feeling, not understanding. Jesus must surely be wrong in tracing the root of the epistemological crisis, to use Obama's phrase, to the heart rather than the mind. No? Could Jesus be suggesting that we need an epistemology of the heart? Now, how do we make our way into what Jesus might be trying to teach us? Let me take a modern and cinematic detour. Do any of you remember the movie A Few Good Men? Oh, good. Lots of people. In the climactic courtroom scene of that movie, Tom Cruise, who plays a wet behind-the-ears Navy JAG, Daniel Kaffee, is cross-examining Jack Nicholson, who plays the hard-boiled Colonel Nathan Jessup. Cruise's character demands the truth, insists upon it from Colonel Jessup, to which Jessup memorably barks, "You can't handle the truth." Decent, Nicholson. That charged courtroom encounter intimates something that can pass unrecognized. Truth can be painful. Truth can interrupt our pre-existent values and commitments. Truth can overturn our convictions about the way things are. Truth can be hard to handle. But I contend the problem is worse still. It is not only that we can't handle the truth, if I say it in my Nicholson voice, we don't even want the truth. Remember Isaiah and Jesus' indictment of the people of his time. They have shut their eyes so they might not look with their eyes. It's not that they cannot see, they don't want to see. So, this brings me to my simple and elementary thesis. So elementary that I'm always a little embarrassed by it. You can't know the truth if you don't want to. The post-truth problem, whether in the 21st century or the first century, or even back in Isaiah's time, is not a cognition problem narrowly understood. It is at root a desire problem. The core problem with our present inability to secure agreement about what is the case is not at heart a problem of the mind, narrowly construed, rather the problem just is the heart. Or more accurately stated, and this is important, the problem is the very bifurcation of mind and heart. A bifurcation we moderns take for granted. The notion that knowing is a work of the mind and desiring a work of the heart splits the two from each other and sets them at odds. Moreover, the bifurcation is itself rooted in another dichotomy we take for granted. Desire and longings of the heart are affairs of the body, knowing the work of the mind. Hence, knowing is an independent affair which has little to do with affairs of the heart. And should the heart and body get involved in the work of knowing, knowing can only be compromised. Jesus begs to differ. For Jesus, and I might add the Buddha and a range of Hindu thinkers as well, there can be no knowing the truth apart from a desire for the truth. This is a perennial and cross-cultural insight. The upshot is that we cannot possibly inform our way out of our present crisis. What is needed is transformation, not information. At least not information alone. The dull heart is the precipitating problem. Diagnose a disease wrongly, and there is no hope for successful treatment. Jesus is alerting us that we are dealing here at root with a cardiological problem, a problem of the cardia. The therapeutic problem is how to facilitate what Jesus calls understanding with the heart. To us, the phrase understanding with the heart is bound to feel counterintuitive. Obama's term, epistemology, the study of knowledge, is that branch of philosophy which considers the limits of knowledge and raises questions about how we know what we know and how we can justify our claims to knowledge. So to speak of an epistemology of the heart appears to be a confusion, what the philosophers call a category mistake. Now, thankfully, we are in recent decades coming to an awareness of the grave error of leaving the heart out of the work of knowing. Put simply, across a variety of fields, we now recognize that the feeling-thinking bifurcation is a grave error. The recent work of the affect theorist and my dear friend Donovan Schaefer shows us that this split has no basis in reality. He argues that we are always thinking, feeling, not one or the other. So when he writes thinking, feeling, lest we ever get into the habit of thinking these are two different operations. One point of evidence he offers: no serious neuroscientist accepts the notion that some parts of our brain think and other parts feel. This idea is obsolete in brain science, yet it continues to be repeated in a variety of literatures. Schaefer, drawing on the work of Lisa Feldman Barrett, calls ideas that retain stubborn cultural traction even after they have been disproved zombie ideas. Isn't that a great phrase? These ideas move and circulate even after they've long died, like zombies. Scholars who study confirmation bias, conspiracy theory, and the larger post-truth phenomena have all shown that we believe what we are predisposed to believe. Knowing is driven by our excitements, our alertness to information that confirms what we and those close to us already believe. And we are averse to and disinclined to accept information that ruptures our passionate investment in ideas that we already hold to be true. Dated movie and show references, here's another one. To echo Fox Mulder's poster in The X-Files, we want to believe. And what we want to believe, we will believe. Feeling and knowing reinforce each other. Those who refuse to accept the relationship between feeling and thinking, between desiring and knowing, run grave epistemological risks. Think, for example, of well-meaning liberals. I'm sure there's no one here who fits that. Well-meaning liberals who believe that a sober presentation of a just the facts ma'am approach will persuade broad swaths of the public to see reason from anything from vaccine denial to the reality of the climate crisis. They are then stunned and befuddled to find that the finest arguments are impotent before entrenched and passionately held conviction. Why are my arguments not working? If thinking, feeling is what we are always doing, if desire and knowing are inseparably connected, we can draw a perverse and troubling conclusion. The easiest way to ensure that knowing goes awry is to corrupt and disfigure the heart. Witness the striking emergence in recent public life of direct attacks against empathy. In recent weeks, we have heard co-president Elon Musk proclaiming the fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy. The empathy exploit. They're exploiting a bug in Western civilization, which is the empathy response. The very sorts of things, I might add, that Nazis also said. Musk is not alone. An extremely popular book right now in American evangelical circles is Joe Rigney's, I must pause before reading the title, The Sin of Empathy. Your dear Pat Brown nearly fell out when I told her about the title of that book. Her heart is so wide open. And here, please, I must offer a trigger warning about the content of Rigney's book. He argues that Christians are falling for a trap when they are led by popular culture, specifically feminist and woke culture, to extend empathy to grave moral wrongs like homosexuality and trans persons. He argues biblical righteousness must, by contrast, recognize that although God has a mother's empathetic heart, divine compassion has its limits. Rigney calls attention to passages in the Hebrew Bible in which God commands us to kill those who commit idolatry, even if they are family members. Rigney writes that, quote, "We are following God as our model, who executes his judgment without pity or compassion." Some mother. Rigney understands, and please note this, Rigney understands what too many liberals, still convinced about the thinking-feeling binary, refuse to see. To ensure that knowing goes awry, you must disfigure the heart. Miseducate the heart, and you make the heart-mind believe what you want. Corrode the heart, and you capture the mind. Successful deception depends on misleading the heart's instinctive and truth-discerning capacities. What is plainly evident to the undistorted and unself-interested heart is obscured to those whose hearts can no longer see. So, then, what are we to do? What course of treatment must we adopt if the root problem lies in the heart? What is the way forward? Let me be brief. I begin with an observation. If our hearts can be corrupted, hardened, and miseducated, it follows that our hearts can also be purified, softened, and tutored. From that observation, let me offer the following brief further assertions. Notes towards a therapy of public desire and a way out of the post-truth predicament. Please listen to these axioms. I take them to be absolutely and unshakably true. First, you cannot know what you do not love. Second, apart from love, you will not see a thing as it is, but as you are. Third, to know truly, you must be transformed. Let me say a few brief words about each of these premises. First, you cannot know what you do not love. Love opens the heart-mind, removes the impulse to grasp or hate, generates a field of openness within which the beloved can be perceived. To know anything or anyone, a book, a grove of trees, a garden, or a person, love is indispensable. To know the world, you must be lovingly disposed toward the real. And such love is not a fixed and static quantity. Love can be cultivated and deepened. Second, the world's religious traditions would affirm this incontestable truth. Apart from love, we do not see the world as it is, but as we are. Our reactivities, our biases, our prejudices, our pre-existent in-group loyalties color what we see. This is true for persons and communities, and especially our lives as political actors. The state and shape of our desires color and shape or misshape the world we see. Third, to know truly, you must be transformed. You must change your life. We cannot hope to inform our way out of the post-truth crisis. Information alone is necessary but insufficient. We must undertake a therapy of public desire. We must tutor and educate our desires. Now, what shape that therapy must take, I do not know. But I know where we must look for wisdom. My contention is that the only successful program of public therapy in the United States was the Black Freedom Movement. And nonviolence was the key. Informed by Gandhi's insistence that the word nonviolence was utterly synonymous with love, King and his co-laborers set out to change America's hearts at scale, not merely one heart at a time. We are not finished learning from them. The way forward rests in taking up the wisdom practices that intensify our longings and our desires for the well-being of others, practices that deepen our capacities for love and compassion. Please take heed. It is nothing but a deep confusion to believe that all our desires must be eliminated. That's a bad reading of the world's religious traditions. If you cannot know what you do not love, then the key to right knowing is intensified loving. Cultivating love for the other, even or especially the enemy other, is indispensable for truthful knowing. You want me to? In sum, right knowing is inseparable from right desiring, and right desiring is inseparable from right knowing. Without working toward a reintegration of desiring and knowing, we have no chance of addressing this post-truth moment. Dear graduates, I know that in this seminary, you have learned to attend to the work of transforming hearts. You are, therefore, far less likely to be captive to entrenched liberal convictions that reason and information unaided by untransformed hearts can cure any and every major social ill. Meanwhile, our opponents go straight after the heart and seek to pollute it with coarse attacks on the heart's innate longing for the other, all others, leaving our hearts at the mercy of our darker desires, including racist and conspiracist longings. You have been equipped to be spiritual cardiologists. Graduates, because I have come to know several of your teachers, I know that United has trained you to be cardiologists in the tradition of the physician from Nazareth, and perhaps also the physician from Bodh Gaya and other wisdom traditions. You have been well equipped to treat diseases of the heart and intensify the heart's capacities to desire truly. So, let me ask you now in this final moment, before the trustees award you your diplomas, in what ways in your classes here have you been trained and equipped to understand the movements of the heart? How have you become attuned to understand what impedes and occludes the flow of love? What book best opened your eyes to the work of integrating heart with mind in order to elicit transformation? What after-class conversation, what conversation partner, what CPE moment opened your eyes to understand the intimate and inseparable connection between what the eyes can see and what the heart desires? How have you been tutored in the way of cardiology? By the way, to the parents of the graduates, this does mean now that you can tell your friends that your child is a cardiologist. At least one who knows how to tutor the heart's innate, divinely created capacity to love God and neighbor. You might want to leave that phrase out. Graduates, my deepest blessing and all my love to you as you pursue this loving and healing labor of seeking truth with the awakened heart. Amen.
President Marshall, if I had known we'd have to speak after that set of moving words, I might have said no, but it is still an honor. United graduates represent many confluences. We come from and hold in our spirits many places, traditions, social locations, and vocational callings. Yet, for a time, we come together to learn from, challenge, and enrich one another, not despite our differences, but through them. The class of 2025, as our gift to the seminary, has been invited to become recurring donors at any level to support United's mission today and beyond.
United is located on Dakota homelands, mere miles from the site of creation in Dakota cosmology, a place called Bedote, the confluence of the Minnesota and Mississippi rivers. So in recognition of the need for Christian institutions to be in authentic and sustained relationships of repair, 1% of all gifts from the Confluence Collective will be given to support Dakota land recovery and rematriation. A small contribution which joins with that of many other local faith communities moving us towards repair and justice. By joining the Confluence Collective, members of the class of 2025 will be contributing to a legacy, enabling students to come to United and combine their diverse talents and perspectives to become leaders, fostering the creative, prophetic, healing, and transformative work that the world so desperately needs.
In immense gratitude for the generosity of those who have supported us, and on behalf of the class of 2025, we proudly offer United Seminary this gift.
Thank you. And it's a great idea to be giving back to the registry. Now you'll stay up here and I'm going to say a word.
Okay.
On behalf of United, we receive this expression of your generosity and your commitment to the school going forward. And I love that we will be participating just a bit in some repair by giving a percentage of these gifts back from the Confluence Collective. Thank you so much.
Well, Dr. Thatamanil, it is not often that a commencement address results in nearly automatic response of a standing ovation. You're on to something profound and important for our time, so thank you. It is always a pleasure and an honor to present the academic announcements during this august occasion. I know that our soon-to-be graduates are wanting to move on to the main course of why we're here, so I'll keep this brief. This year we are celebrating the first graduates in United's own Spiritual Direction Certificate program. I'm thankful for our prior partnership with St. Catherine University, through which we developed this program as a shared degree just a few years ago. We began the process then of launching United's own program through our MAL, MDiv, DMin, and standalone certificate programs. As a progressive Protestant seminary with intentional interreligious openness, we learned much from our progressive Catholic friends in this work. In future years, we'll celebrate our first DMin graduates in spiritual direction as our programs continue to grow. Our big celebration this year among our faculty was the attainment of tenure by Dr. Justin Sabia-Tanis. This is a very special achievement in the life of a faculty member and in the life of an institution, as each commits to each other in a special manner and entrusts each to the other with the promise of even more good things to come. Perhaps it's something like an academic wedding. In the process of Justin's application, Colleagues and external evaluators noted Dr. Sabiatanis' excellence in each of the areas for which tenure is evaluated, in particular for his commitment to the craft of teaching, to his leadership among his faculty colleagues, for his crucially important and cutting-edge scholarship in gender justice and sexual ethics, most recently a contributed essay to the book Trans-Biblical, co-edited by one of our own adjunct faculty members, Dr. Melissa Harlcello, for his dedication to his students, for his leadership of United's Social Transformation Program, and for his broader work at United through his leadership role with the Leadership Center for Social Justice. In addition, Justin's public voice and presence in protests for trans rights and gender justice, racial justice, and other issues are crucially important in demonstrating and living out United's core values in the world. Thank you, Dr. Sabiatanis. This coming year will be a year of sabbaticals for a number of our faculty. For Dr. Sabiatanis in the fall term, for Dr. Gary Green in the spring term, for yours truly, the Dean, beginning this summer and fall. President Marshall insisted that I have waited too long for my sabbatical, and many other faculty agree. It is time to step away for a little while, much like a marriage, I suppose, could be. Say a special prayer for Dr. Damian Wheeler, who begins his role as acting dean on June 1st. Okay, there you go. Our faculty continue to teach with excellence, support our students, and contribute to their guilds in research and writing. We are fortunate to have the faculty and academic support staff that we have. They comprise United's secret sauce of progressive and public theology, intellectual curiosity, interreligious engagement, and a social justice orientation, all so needed in our society today. Thank you very much.
As chair of the Board of Trustees of United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities, I hereby authorize President Molly T. Marshall to confer on all candidates for certificates and degrees for United's 62nd Commencement.
And I invite the Director of Student Services, Dr. Hilary Vomstad, to come forward to read the name of those receiving certificates and degrees.
Madam President, I have the honor to present the candidates for certificates. They have completed all the requirements for graduation and have been recommended by the faculty and dean of United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities for these certificates.
By the authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty, I confer upon you these certificates of completion with all the rights, responsibilities, privileges appertaining thereto.
Candidate certificates, excuse me. Candidates for certificates, please rise to be acknowledged as your name is called. Alexander James Hansen, Spiritual Direction. Catherine Corenda, Spiritual Direction. Kristen Lefebvre, Spiritual Direction. And Brett Aaron Wheeler, Theological Studies, who's joining us on Zoom.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Madam President, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree Master of Arts. Candidates, please rise. They have completed all the requirements for graduation and have been recommended by the faculty and dean of United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities for the degree.
By the authority invested in me by the board and on behalf of the faculty, I confer upon you Master of Arts with all the rights, responsibilities, privileges appertaining thereto.
Candidates, please come forward to receive your diploma and hooding as your name is called. Elliot M. Barnhill. Leah Ike Miller. Samuel McConnell.
Madam President, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree Master of Arts in Leadership. Candidates, please rise. They have completed all requirements for graduation and have been recommended by the faculty and dean of United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities for the degree.
By the authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty, I confer upon you Master of Arts in Leadership with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto.
Candidates, please come forward to receive your diploma and hooding as your name is called. Stephanie Damrose. Oh, my apologies, she's not here. Alexander James Hansen. Allison Doe Hoyer. Kristen Lefebvre. Carissa Matson. Christopher Sauter. Bridget Weber.
Madam President, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree Master of Divinity. Candidates, please rise. They have completed all requirements for graduation and have been recommended by the faculty and dean of United Theological Seminary of the Twin Cities for the degree.
By the authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty, I confer upon you Master of Divinity with all the rights, responsibilities, privileges appertaining thereto.
Candidates, please come forward to receive your diploma and hooding as your name is called. Amanda Marie Anderson. Rachel Ann Bly. Chelsea Boyden.
Reinforcements. Congratulations.
Ryan Cagle. Mark Caswell. Abigail Elizabeth Chronister. George Davis Williams. Leah Eichmiller. Susan Fisher. Jamie Hartman. Ray Homeyer. Malia Hausnecht. Matthew Huffman, who joins us on Zoom. Jody Elma Huyu. Dolores Rose Murphy Hewlett Nelson. Whitney Jansen Pankratz. Jocelyn Langholz. Gwen Lawson. Jamie Phillip Riley. Chad Snyder.
Brought your own chairs.
Laura Stavo. Benjamin Steckelberg. Kyle David Turner. Turver.
Sorry.
Nico Van Ostrand. Bridget Weber. And Kathy Welch-Smith. There's always one.
Madam President, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree Doctor of Ministry. Candidates, please rise. They have completed all the requirements for graduation and have been recommended by the faculty and dean of United Theological Seminary for the degree.
By the authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty, I confer upon you Doctor of Ministry with all the rights, responsibilities, privileges appertaining thereto, and an additional word. You have a special responsibility as doctors of the church, and people will look to you as wise guides, and we have every confidence in you to that end.
Candidates, please come forward to receive your diploma and hooding as your dissertation title is announced and your name is read. Completing a dissertation titled, "Who Are Universities For? Practicing Liberation in Christian Higher Education." I present to you Reverend Dr. Shannon Dykes. Completing a dissertation titled Clinical Pastoral Education, CPE, as an educational training program. I present to you Dr. Tina Table-Erico. Completing a dissertation titled Global Ministries, Youth Exchange, and Mission Outreach, Reintegrating the Spiritual Lives of Young African American and South African Christians. I present to you Reverend Dr. Theophilus H. Reagans. Completing a dissertation titled The Power and Potential of Anger, Divine Examples of How Anger Can Be Healthy, Healing, and Even Holy. I present to you Reverend Dr. Raven Clarissa Rowe. Completing a dissertation titled A Wesleyan Theology of Love, a constructive theological approach to United Methodism after disaffiliation. I present to you Reverend Dr. Joshua Stewart. Completing a dissertation titled Navigating Church Crisis, the Role of Discernment, Spiritual Direction, and Decision-Making Amidst the Church Financial Crisis within East Java Christian Church, Indonesia. I present to you Reverend Dr. Hardian Triasmaradi, who joins us on Zoom.
Applaud them all.
From time to time, the trustees of the seminary, upon the recommendation of the faculty, are pleased to award an honorary degree at commencement. These degrees are bestowed to recognize creative and formative contributions to the edification of the church or the broader society. In granting such a degree, the seminary acknowledges the recipient as a leader and contributor to the vocation of the church and the well-being and flourishing of society. Mr. Frank Sims, throughout your life you have embodied a commitment to the common good, especially in the area of higher education, which you and your wife so prize. You have been a pioneer in business, board service, and higher education administration. The Doctorate of Humane Letters is a distinct degree that honors your years of public service and your journey of faith. We applaud the many ways in which you have lived into both, and in awarding you this degree, we celebrate your ethical leadership and the example you continue to embody for others. As an institution dedicated to educating ethical and just leaders, we are honored to recognize your faithful work. I invite the chair of the board to stand next to me as we invite Dr. Sims to come forward.
Chair Anderson, on behalf of the faculty, I have the honor to present the candidate for the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa. By unanimous recommendation of the faculty of United Theological Seminary and subsequent unanimous approval of the Board of Trustees, I present Mr. Frank Sims for the degree Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
By the authority invested in me by the Board of Trustees and on behalf of the faculty, I confer upon you, dear Frank, the Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, all the rights, privileges, responsibilities appertaining thereto. Congratulations.
We gather today with our hearts full of gratitude, giving thanks for the boundless love that sustains us and the gift of grace that has shaped our journey. We give thanks for our seminary, a place of learning and transformation, where we have deepened our understanding of ourselves and prepared for service in a world of limitless possibilities. We are gathered for the privilege of being called to this place, for the community of faith that has surrounded us, for the faculty and mentors who have guided us with wisdom, and for the friendship that has sustained us through time. Of challenges and of joys, we thank you for the opportunities to learn, grow, and cultivate a more profound presence in all things we do. We give thanks for the richness of our academic, social, and spiritual experiences. We give thanks for the moments of clarity that have deepened our faith and the moments of struggle that have redefined our character. We give thanks for the diversity of our community, which has broadened our perspectives and challenged us to grow in understanding and love in multiple ways.
In thanksgiving to the people who have taught us the practice of theology and prayer, and to the ones who have shown us the way of service, humility, we give thanks. For those who are different from us, whose lives and stories have enriched us, we give thanks. Bless us, O God of many names, mystery beyond all naming. We receive these gifts with humble hearts, knowing that our lives are part of the greater whole. We commit to embracing the world as it is and could be. We commit to serving with compassion, leading with integrity, and being agents of transformation in a world that desperately needs it. We commit to living proud lives and being beacons of truth and love in a world too often overshadowed by falsehoods. We commit to giving of ourselves, serving others, and pursuing justice and peace. We commit to making room for all of the names of the sacred and honoring our neighbors and our own cultures. May our gratitude become action, our learning become wisdom, our lives become prayers, lived boldly, beautifully, and freely. May we embrace the sacredness of life, the mystery of death, and the interconnectedness of all creation. In all your holy names we pray. Amen.
And so the last thing you need at this point is a long speech. So I won't give one. I won't even give what I have written. You've heard so much good already from our distinguished speaker about having your hearts open, a willingness to be tutored in love, and a desire to know deeply truth. So I charge you to pursue that. As the president of MIT once said, probably to some electrical engineers, she said, curiosity is always electrifying. To be curious with your companions and to love deeply and desire to know truth. That's your charge as you go forth. And we will claim you with gratitude for the graceful imprint you have left at United. You have an applied degree in navigating times of political turmoil, in addition to all the other degrees earned. So we wish you well as you go forward, bearing the name of the school and also your own grand name as a creation of God. Bless you.
before we greet our families and friends. But I wanted to build on Dr. Thatamanil's amazing piece. And in spiritual direction, one of the things we often say to people is, if your spiritual practice, your spiritual life, your religion identity is not expanding your heart, then find a new one. And many of you have done that in the last 3 or 4 years. You found a new way to understand what this is about. And I want to bless you with these words from Reverend Dr. Jackie Lewis, who wrote Fierce Love, with a definition of the love that expands. If we're going to be in a practice of loving kindness for all people and all beings everywhere, we should know exactly what we're trying to do. So Reverend Dr. Lewis says, love is the non-judgmental delight in the particularity of the other. The non-judgmental delight in the particularity of the other. And when your faculty looks out at our students, it is what we do, right? It's what we do at United and what you do in the world, is find that beautiful thing about one another and about this creation. And may that practice of love guide you and sustain you always. Amen.